Pacalo Papito, and we back with a video. This will be a big project. I will be talking about each team starting quarterback in the 2010-2011 season for the AFC teams. Next video I'll do about this will be for the NFC teams, and that will probably be a bit harder. If you want to see more content like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please share my videos so people can learn more about my channel and the type of NFL videos we do, and we'll be trying to post every day right now. So thanks for watching my videos when you are, and let's get on to the video. So we're going to be starting with the AFC West first, and the best team in that division is the Chiefs, and they had Matt Castle as their starter. He was part of that roster in 2008 with the Patriots that didn't make the playoffs with an 11-5 record, but in 2010 he made his first and only Pro Bowl with 3,117 yards and 27 TDs. He didn't have a bad career by any means, but not a very good. Raiders had Jason Campbell, which is not good. He should not be your starting quarterback. He was drafted in the first round by the Redskins, now known as the Washington football team. He failed to live up to expectations and didn't have a great season, which he only had 2,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions in 13 games. For the Broncos, they had Kyle Orton. He was a QB who was mostly a backup besides a few seasons where he started most games for the Bears, the Broncos, and the Bills. He threw for 3,653 yards with 20 TDs and 9 interceptions. People might also remember him for being a backup to Tony Romo with the Cowboys. And the final quarterback, but the best one in that by far, was Philip Rivers. He was 10 years younger and a lot better. He was a very dangerous quarterback who threw for 4,710 yards and 30 touchdowns in a very good season. Thank goodness the Chargers had a legitimate starting quarterback. For the AFC East, we're going to start it off with the worst one of them all, Chad Henne. He is so bad, I can't even begin to tell you. He should not even be your starting quarterback, because the Chiefs have him as their backup right now to Patrick Mahomes, and that's not a good sign. What if Patrick Mahomes gets injured like last year? Chad Henne is not a reliable option, and last time he started a full season in 2013, he was terrible. 2010, he threw for 15 touchdowns and 19 interceptions, which is terrible. So let's move on before any more I have to say about him. The next one was Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez was overhyped. I know that he had a gung-ho attitude, who had a nice lifestyle, but he wasn't good. He was decent at best, average. He threw for the most yards in his career this season with 3,474 yards. He had 26 TDs, doesn't sound bad, but he had 18 interceptions. He averages more than 1 interception a game. That's terrible. The Bills had Ryan Fitzmagic, the boy. He had a decent season. You could make a case that it was much worse than Mark Sanchez, but in real life right now, I know that Mark Sanchez is retired, but throughout their whole careers, Ryan Fitzpatrick was a much better quarterback. He had a decent season, but he had a bad beard game. No fuego, that is not it. He threw for 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, and a worryingly high 15 interceptions. The best one was Patriots QB Tom Brady. If he's not the best of all time, he's second best QB of all time, and this was amazing because he won MVP. This was the peak of his powers, where he threw for 3,900 yards and 36 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, which is crazy, and he was unstoppable during this time period of like 2008 to 2011. Okay, now we're going to be entering the AFC South, and we're going to be starting off with the Jaguars quarterback David Jarrard. This was his last season as an NFL starter because the Jaguars drafted Blaine Gabbert, but I assume that David Jarrard is still a better quarterback, and he made the Pro Bowl the season prior, but he had a weak season with 2,734 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Next was Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins was past it in 2010. 2010 was just tough for him because he finally showed his age. He was drafted the same year that the Carolina Panthers were made in 1995, which is crazy, and he was their first Panthers quarterback ever, but he played a similar amount of time to Vince Young, but I assume he's a better quarterback than Vince Young. So he threw for 1,823 yards and 14 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Next, we've got Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub is the highest tenured quarterback in Texans history because the Texans were formed in 2002. He was a good QB at his best, and his stats read 4,370 yards and 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, which is not bad. He's not Deshaun Watson though. And the last player is by far the best one, Peyton Manning. In my opinion, he's the best player of all time. He stayed with the Colts until 2012 when he signed with the Broncos in free agency. He had 4,700 yards with 33 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, and those weren't even his best seasons. We've got the final division, and let's start off with the worst QB on this one, which is Colt McCoy. He was drafted in the 3rd round of this season with the 85th pick. The Browns had terrible QBs to work with. I know they had Seneca Wallace, Colt McCoy, and Jake Delhomme, and Jake Delhomme was washed up. Colt McCoy started 8 games, and he started most of the games for the Browns, and he wasn't good. He threw 6 TDs and 9 interceptions and looked useless, and he still has a job in the NFL, which surprises me, even though he beat the Seahawks. I don't like that. We're gonna go on to Joe Flacco. The North actually had some really good QBs besides that dud Colt McCoy. He was the quarterback before Lamar Jackson, and he was serviceable enough. He threw for 3,622 yards with 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. He had a passer rating of 93.5 for this season, which wasn't bad, but was he worth the first round in 2008? I mean, he won a Super Bowl, so I don't know. We've got the Bengals quarterback, Carson Palmer. You can make a case that he's better than Ben Roethlisberger. Not a very valid one because that's stupid. He had the best season out of all of them, but that was way past it. And consistently, Ben Roethlisberger was a much better QB than Carson Palmer. This was 2 seasons before he wanted to leave the Bengals, and for this season, he threw for 3,971 yards and 26 TDs with 20 interceptions. Like I said, his best season was in 2015, where he threw for 4,671 yards with 35 TDs and 11 interceptions, which are MVP-like stats. And the last one, but not least, Ben Roethlisberger. He's in charge of best team in the AFC for the season, even though the Chiefs are better. The Steelers have a better record right now. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't throw for a high passer rating because he throws for a lot of yards, but he throws for a lot of interceptions. This season, he missed a few games, and he threw for 3,200 yards with 17 TDs and 5 interceptions in 12 games. Thank you so much. We are only 2 subscribers away from 30, and I appreciate the support I get on these videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe with the notification bell on, and share this with your friends so we can hit 30 and more subscribers as fast as possible. Peace.